All right, welcome everybody to another month of Civil Chat. July, it's a beautiful sunny day here in Colorado. We're looking forward to a nice long weekend coming up, as well as maybe talking some Civil 3D stuff here. So if you're new to Civil Chat, welcome. Glad to have you here. This is your chance to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, we'll just talk about how Brian spells his name wrong some more. We're not going to say which one is which, but there's only one of them that's spelled wrong. Um,
It's implied.
but really, this is your chance to ask questions, and we will do our best to answer your questions. Nothing is off limits, so we just might ignore some if you want. If you ask something that's not appropriate for the discussion, but you can ask it anyways. But what we do ask is that if you want to ask a question, please put it in the Q&A panel. It helps us track what questions are coming, what we have to deal with, make sure that we've addressed them all. You can chat in the chat for sure. That's what it's there for. We've enabled it for everybody. So have fun there. Heckle all you want, make fun of us, whatever it is you want is there for the chat. And but please put your Q&A in the Q&A session. If there currently are no questions, so then we're going to give you a chance to put your questions in there. And I always like to start off with something, right? And this time I thought I would start off with AI. Ooh, AI, right? I've been using AI to help me out as a CAD manager recently, and I found it to be really, really helpful. It's not the end all be all, but I just want to kind of go over some stuff. So let me go ahead and open up a web browser here. It's not opening it from my side. We'll go there. Well, and I'm just going to go to ChatGPT. And so what I found that is really helpful with AI is helping you to automate things, right? So let's say, for example, I have a bunch of blocks in my drawing and I need to rotate each block 20 degrees. Why? I don't know, but I need to increase the rotation by 20 degrees. I don't want to rotate it to an exact angle of 20 degrees. I need to increase it by 20 degrees. So this is where you can go to ChatGPT and ask the question. It's like I have an AutoCAD drawing with blocks that I need to change the rotation of each block by 20 degrees. Right? Simple input, right? So it gives you some options. You can manually rotate for a single block or a few blocks. You can rotate multiple blocks by 20 degrees, apply the rotate command. Well, that's not going to work because that rotates them around a single point. Or you can use a list, and it actually gives you a list routine right here that you can then just paste into CAD and try it, right? It's pretty slick, right? So you can just copy all this. And then if I come back over here to Civil 3D, I don't know why my taskbar doesn't work. So you can see it's still showing as 9:57 when it's actually 11:35 here. I don't know what's up with that. It's weird. All right, but if I go into my Visual Lisp integrated design environment, I'll close that and we'll create a new list routine here, and I'll just paste that in. It's code, and it's here ready for you to test it out. Now, in my experience, this is not perfect, right? It seems like every single time I do this, there's an issue with the code, but it gets you really close. It's really, really helpful, right? So you can also do things like, let's say in Civil 3D, I'm creating a corridor, that is for a residential road that will have driveways. How do I adjust the curb and gutter to match the driveways? And it goes through and gives you information. Now, is this good information? I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. This is just something I decided to try right now. So I don't know if this is good or not. But it gives you information, at least gives you some place you can start. right?
Yeah, I find when I've done this in the Revit world, it's so wrong that
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, I think it's
Is
trying to
it?
take, I think it sees Autodesk and combines Inventor and Civil 3D and 3ds Max tools together. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah. And like I said, this is not something that I haven't vetted this particular one yet. Um, in plan view, you can define location area driveways, feature lines, match the elevations. I don't know. It might work, it might not work. But I have found that for the code bit, it's really helpful. I need to create a list routine that does this. Just ask ChatGPT or whatever your AI of choice is to create that code for you. And you don't have to be an expert at coding like somebody like Adam is. You can at least get 90% of the way there and then go through and troubleshoot why it's not working. I had one where I was doing a bunch of stuff with files and it didn't put in the double backslash for the file names, for the file path, you just put in a single one. So you have to go through and adjust things like that. But it ended up working pretty well so far. So it's just a thought, some ways of maybe using AI. Does anybody else ever use AI in Civil 3D or AutoCAD? And if so, how do you use it and what have you found that's been helpful?
So Robert says he has the same taskbar problem you have. If you minimize and then maximize Civil 3D, your taskbar clock will update.
Let's give that a try. Minimize. Hey, look at that.
Gotta love the fact that Civil 3D is breaking your taskbar.
All right.
That's scary. If it's breaking the taskbar and the display of the clock, what else is it screwing up?
Now, is that only for 2026?
I have no. I thought it was more of a I'm displaying my screen type of a thing.
Robert says it's a 2025 issue as well.
Yeah. So I'm in 2026 right now, so apparently it's in there as well. I haven't noticed it when I'm not screen sharing, so it might have something to do with that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I always find a lot of issues when I'm doing something along with Zoom or Teams, depending on which one I am, having different issues.
Yeah.
And Max says it's in 2024, and they said only with multiple monitor setups.
All right. So Adam says, as far as the AI goes, he says it's been super helpful to work out complex theories in my code. I don't trust the actual code it provides, but the process I want it conveyed, and I can ask it to elaborate in parts I don't understand as well. Yeah, exactly. It's great for learning the concepts of code. See, Randy says I've used ChatGPT to help me create a number of list routines now, and it is a really good starting point. Your prompts in ChatGPT need to be really specific to get good results. Um, yes and no. The nice thing about it is, you can specify, say, hey, I need to rotate my blocks. And it says, ooh, just use the rotate command. And then you can be like, oh, no, no, no. I mean, I need to rotate them about their own insertion point. And then they're like, oh, well, then you need to do this. So you can start out generic and then get more specific. But yeah, a lot of times you have to be pretty specific to get good results. So, oops. All right. Anything else on AI?
No, that's all I see. And you still only technically have one question, although Chris Stevens did say in the Q&A pod that he just got a survey from Autodesk regarding Civil 3D and asked them what they would like to see, what you would like to see as a consumer for AI.
Ooh, what do you want to see for Civil 3D for AI? That's a great question. Um, I don't know where AI would come into play in Civil
I don't know
3D.
if it would work, Chris, but if you still have that email with the survey link, maybe you can post that in the chat and everybody can click on it and give their opinion. Sometimes they're specific to users, sometimes not.
Or are we talking about AI in an inquisitive inquiry format, or actually performing tasks that are remedial or, dare I say it, beneath some of us? Repetitive tasks, such as, I got 50 different alignments. I need them all named, created profiles for them, giving them a specific range distances, and they'll create the views for us. That's actually a job snatching AI, isn't it?
Right.
Let's not let's let, let's avoid this topic. Next topic.
But you can also have AI do, like help you with design. So it's not just, drafting. You might be able to use AI to say, to upload the requirements for the city. Let's say, for example, I have the Larimer County Urban Area Street Standards. Perhaps I could upload that into an AI and then say, hey, I want you to create all the assemblies for these different roadway configurations.
They were using something like that for specs for design analysis of what we're wanting to do is we'll load the criteria of the given regions around and say, I'm creating a 4 mile long pipeline that is a 54-inch. Give me all the spec requirements and design criteria needed, and it'll pop it out for us. And then we just hand it over to our designers and let them do the design work. So now we're removing the engineers from the equation.
There you go.
That means there's more money for you guys.
It'll always be needed for the CAD monkey, right? Which we are not that. I will never label myself or anybody a CAD monkey. That's just terrible.
Oh, I literally have a coffee cup that says CAD Monkey that one of my clients gave me way back when.
Nice.
We are designers.
Looks like Adam posted in the chat the link to the survey. So that's awesome. Thanks, Adam. All right. Shall we go ahead and get started here?
You can.
We got
So
a question from Randy.
the first question comes from Robert, and he says, is there a way to label a pipe, pressure or gravity, in plan with the inverted centerline or TP at a selected point on the pipe, random point or station offset, out of the box?
Out of the box. So by out of the box, do you mean no additional programs, or do you mean no customizing within the program? Because there's nothing just that says label this part of the pipe. So there's some customizing that we're going to have to do. And this sounds like a fun one. Let me go ahead and open up a drawing that has some pipes in it. See program files.
Just for clarification, this is an instantaneous spot elevation at a given point along the pipe.
That's the way I'm understanding it.
Yeah. Okay. Same here. Just wanted to make sure. Because I'm racking my brain right now and I can't think of anything.
Robert says correct.
Then I can't think of anything, or that its interpretation is correct.
Okay. Okay, so Robert, correct me if I'm wrong here, but basically you want to know what the top of the pipe elevation is at, say, station 10 plus 50, right?
Or anywhere else you manually pick it. So
Right. So does that sound correct, Robert? Yes, you put it in the chat.
yes.
Perfect. Okay, but in plan view. Okay. So let's see. It would take a pipe label. Can we use a? This is going to be a tricky one. That's for sure. I like it. Let's see. What if we use a general note style? And can we put in a reference text to a pipe? No reference text to a pipe. So if we put in what about an alignment label? Can that reference a pipe? No, I don't know if you can reference a pipe. All right, so it looks like we're going to be stuck with a pipe label. So we can reference an alignment to get the station, but could we use that in an expression? I don't think we would be able to. But we probably can use, let's see, what kind of expressions can we create here? Because it's going to be dealing with expressions most likely. All right, so we got the pipe start station. Do we have something like the label location station?
You also have the start elevation and the end elevation.
Right.
So is there a way to use that by basically off of the length as well? You get
Well,
a midpoint.
the problem is how do we pick the point that we want to label?
Right. I was gonna say you could give a midpoint with math, but
Right. But I don't see anything that would allow us to pick a location for the label. Yeah, Tom says you could label a profile elevation that follows the top or flow lines of the pipe. But that wouldn't update if the pipe changes. That might be the best option we have.
Chris says he spent hours looking and has never been able to find anything.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised nobody said Chat GPT this.
Dynamo might be an option.
And Tom says they've always used, sorry, no, Max says they've always used profile labels on pipes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to couple on top of that, we've always been looking for where two pipes cross. We'd love to see the separation in the plan view.
Right.
And we've been looking for labels, anything that could be an instantaneous spot on a pipe, which would be fantastic. So that way you could do it to both and show the crossing, much like an alignment would cross each other. It gives the stationing.
Mhm.
Yeah, third-party apps is not always an option, so it'd be great to have it built into Civil 3D.
Yeah, I think a third-party app or something you'd have to develop yourself would,
Yeah.
List Routine or Dynamo or something along those lines would be required for something like this.
Yeah, Carrie said they use Dynamo, but then again, it's not, since it's Dynamo, it's not automatically updated. I mean, that's my biggest problem with a lot of Dynamo stuff when trying to label things is you can get the data today, but then you've got to rerun that script if you want it to be updated.
Yep.
Yeah, so several people in the chat have talked about different third-party apps. Tom mentions PNPT, and then Adam said RTCL. So I don't know if those are the names of the programs or the names of the developers, but yeah, I can't think of any way out of the box to get that because there's no way to know where the label is along the pipe. If we had that information, then we could calculate because we have the elevations at the top of the pipe, we have the elevations at the bottom of the pipe. We know the stationing at the bottom of the pipe, we know the stationing at the top of the pipe, and then we could calculate the stationing along it and then calculate it using expressions. But we don't have that label location information.
And Tom clarified that's Red Transit's products.
Steve Hill. Yeah, he does some great stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't think of a way. And it looks like a lot of folks here have run the gamut on this as well without any solution. So, unfortunately, Robert, I think you're going to be stuck either third-party apping it or paying somebody to develop it for you, or learning how to develop it yourself using ChatGPT, perhaps.
Just stepping back a little bit to the ChatGPT, Tom actually said he went through that survey, and one of the questions on there saying, would you be comfortable with designers allowing AI to adjust the design for conflict resolution, surface editing, etc.? I've never been an engineer that'd be like, yeah, sure, let some automated software adjust my design. Cool, go for it.
No, I could see that making recommendations.
Yeah.
Sure. But adjusting my design? Unless they want to stamp it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and on top of that, there's variances that you can have based on the criteria at certain instances. Maybe you can have
Mhm.
only 6 inches of cover if you put a plate. Making recommendations would probably be better along the lines than actually doing the auto adjustment.
And Chris said on the dark side, Bentley has got a lot of forward-looking tools that might actually put them leaps ahead of Autodesk.
Sorry.
Cool. All right, and on that same note, and I think this is one Brian was going to earlier that I missed. Randy says, has anyone used Autodesk and APS and ChatGPT to automate tasks in ACC? For example, update folder structure, add users, etc. And APS is Autodesk Platform Services for those people who do not know.
Yeah, I've not used that at all. Have you used that at all, Brian?
No, I have not.
I always just go into ACC and update things myself. Um,
I mean, we have seen where it can, um, but it's not fluent.
so Randy, are you talking about having ChatGPT give you code that allows you to do that? Or, or,
The,
or
I might be able to speak to this. Randy and I work together.
okay.
Yeah, this is
I'm
more.
sorry, Randy.
Yeah, we're talking like really large scale bulk changes to particular. If you're familiar with the ACC, you get a lot of projects in there, and sometimes you've got people you have to invite and remove people or assign roles, change roles, and we're looking for something that can automate a lot of the additions, removals, searches for clients and such that yeah, like Randy's saying, to customize some of the tasks, such as roles and such. Because when you get somebody that comes into your company, you add them to multiple projects, and then when they leave your company, they still have access to that data through ACC through their Autodesk login until IT removes them. And not sure how often that happens, but we as administrators have to go through and remove them ourselves. And Brian, you were shaking your head.
Yeah. I will say on ACC, one thing Autodesk has had is now if you actually go as an account admin and remove the person, it will remove them from all projects. That's fairly new. Prior to that, you literally had to go select person, remove them from the projects, and
Uh-huh.
then remove them from your account. Now, if you remove them from the account, it says, hey, I'm removing them from all projects as well.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's those types of automations that we're
Gotcha.
looking at. And also like a role change, maybe the electrical engineer used to be only edit, and now we need to bring them down to just create.
Okay.
And yeah,
So as far as the access to the ACC goes, with single sign-on, doesn't that, I mean, if they're removed from their single sign-on, they wouldn't have access to it any longer, would they? Or is that
that
a
I,
different login method?
that I don't know.
Okay.
So I do know one of the guys I know from Australia, I think his company name's called Automation or something like that. They specifically work on doing Autodesk platform service stuff. So they create reports out of it and do all that other fun sort of things with that too. So that's there. And if you're looking for somebody to do that stuff. And I was just going to mention, and Tom just brought this up, with Autodesk also allowing SSO sign on, if people remove them from there, theoretically, that also removes them from ACC as well as all of the ACC projects as well.
I'm
Okay.
really digging
Yeah.
that. And they are listening. So I mean, because that was a concern for us as well. And I'm glad that they are listening. And yeah, that ACC environment is continuing to change.
Well, and it gets even worse once you start getting into the build environment and stuff, where you start getting permissions even to the next level. And now they're adding different levels of permissions for that. So, like, you can have project admin and account admin, but now they're adding certain admins for other features as well. Like if you're using the oh shoot, what's it called? Parameter services. There's another level of admin services for that. So it just keeps getting more and more and more in depth as we get into it. So yeah, I think getting some sort of tool to get in here and start looking at some of the stuff is going to be a big deal, because the more it gets into folders upon subfolders and roles in different folders, yeah, it becomes a big thing.
I mean, how many people use ACC?
We do.
Well,
I
I
know
do,
we
but
as well,
not in
but
the civil world.
Yeah, raise your hand if you use ACC. That's a good way of going about doing it.
yeah,
Okay, so quite a few.
excellent.
Say what, a quarter, maybe?
25% maybe?
No, I think it's closer to a quarter.
Oh, okay. All right, quarter to 8, fine. 7:45. I know where you're headed with that, buddy.
Ooh, stuck in ProjectWise. Lovely.
Yeah, so I'll follow up with a question on that since we're still looking for questions. On that note, how many people are having jurisdictions require you use ACC? So I'm working on the Austin Airport, Civil 3D, building, Revit wise, everything. They require everybody to work live in ACC.
Whoa.
They have a whole ACC standard and everything saying, here's how you're doing it. So if you're into the Civil 3D world, they're requiring even Civil 3D to all be done in through ACC.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
We've had some clients require it, but I've never had like a jurisdiction require it.
Well, that's a client, it's an airport, so
Yeah.
they're a jurisdiction in of themselves, but
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had clients that have actually made the full transition from ProjectWise straight on over to ACC, which was interesting.
I
yeah,
bet.
I'm waiting for them also and then to start taking that into build and start getting rid of ProjectWise and all these other construction admin tools.
Yeah, could be.
So I'm just throwing it out there because I am starting to see clients say, hey, you need to work in ACC. So for those of you who for that 75% of you who did not, or was it three quarters, I forget, who did not raise your hand, something to start looking into.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for when we do jobs now, our sub-consultants, we're putting them on ACC as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And Daniel, the airport that I'm working with was Austin Airport, out of Texas. And they do not have documentation standards that much. They still allow you to go about it the way you want, but they're requiring all of the project work be done there. So that way, at any point in time, their BIM team or whatever, their civil team can get on there and look and see what's going on. They give themselves only read-only rights to the folders, but there's a few specific people that they can get in there. And then if they need to download them for anybody else, they're not constantly saying, hey, we need to get a downloaded version of this or whatever. They just grab it. They also have it even set up through ACC where they're then bridging each individual project into a main hub. So, they might have 100 different projects going on at a time at that airport, but then they bridge them into one main thing. So the majority of people are in their main bridged hub. So anytime you publish those files, it goes over to the source that the majority of the airport sees. I think it's actually a nice feature for all of them to get into it.
Nice.
And I haven't heard anybody once out there say they're getting into, oh shoot, I just lost the word, digital twins. They just keep saying use our ACC site.
If you guys haven't noticed, we're stalling from our questions.
So we'll
ask
go
questions.
ahead and do Sean's question because I don't know, maybe it'll take you 15 minutes. You can go slow enough. So Sean asked the question, could you show a pipe rule that could allow the user to change the depth of a pipe from the rim elevation to the top of the pipe? I have issues that the rim elevation of my catch basin sticks out of the ground and gives me erroneous rim elevations, not matching the FG surface. Can this be done via the rule?
That sounds like a bug I recall whenever we would come in and you would either XML or I can't remember what it was that caused the issue, but the pipe would go from the invert of one manhole to the rim of the other manhole. And even though the pipe should, you haven't seen that one before? But this was several years ago. We're talking in the teen years, the 13s, 15s, and 16s, because you can't bring the rim up to the top of the pipe up to the rim because of the criteria built in, the smartness built into the to the parametric.
Right.
Man.
So my
question would be, is that catch basin custom or using out of the box? Because maybe you broke something on the custom one.
Right.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, for example, I have this manhole here. We can assume it's a catch basin. And if I adjust the pipe up, you'll notice that the manhole now sticks out from the ground. And then if I bring this back down, you notice the rim doesn't adjust again. So my first thought, it was maybe something like this. Is this along the lines, Sean, or was it something what somebody else said? Sean still with us? I don't see Sean in
No,
the attendees any longer.
I don't see John in the attendees any longer.
All right.
Did
Well-
we take too long to answer?
I guess we did.
Dang it.
Shame on us.
Wow,
Right.
it's only been 10 minutes since he asked, so.
And then I can pull this down, and then you notice I can only pull this down so far. So this is kind of what I was thinking was happening. And so your structures actually have a rim to rim clearance value of some sort. If we go into part builder, can't believe I'm doing this. Let's go to junction structures with
Reminds me of Star
frames.
Trek, to boldly go where no man's gone before.
We'll go with a concentric cylindrical structure. Let's see if this one has it.
While
And
you're
I'm
on-
just coming in here to look at the different parameters that they have in here.
And while you're in this, Brian, do you have much success of making this a network-wide standard for everybody to go to one particular parts list? Or do you find a gatekeeper issue that happens with this?
What do you
And
mean by gatekeeper?
Well, so whenever you have, you've got your standards pipe library, and
Mhm.
it's in a location that's on your hard drive, and you can make these modifications yourself right here, right now, because it's on your computer. But if you want everybody else to be able to use these parts, you've got to make it network available, which
Right.
also means that people can get in there. So to protect ourselves from ourselves, we want to lock it down, or at least make it such that either the original data doesn't get corrupted while adding new data. And I want you to answer this first, and then we
Okay,
can go
we'll,
to that,
we'll come
because-
back to that one.
Yeah, because that's more of a CAD management style type.
Right. So let's see, there's the frame, is it the frame height? The barrel pipe clearance perhaps? It's the vertical pipe clearance. Anyways, one of these values will prevent the rim of the rim of the structure from going down within a certain elevation of the top of the pipe. And it makes sense, right? If you think about it, if you got a cylindrical structure with a cone top, you don't want the pipe coming in where the cone is. And so you need to have that clearance for the pipe to come in below it. And so I was thinking perhaps maybe that's what the issue is. And I can't remember which one of these it is. It's either the vertical pipe clearance or the barrel pipe clearance or something like that.
Barrel pipe clearance.
Barrel pipe clearance? Okay, yeah. It's been a while since I played around with this, but yeah.
And you can set that to 0, right? Or something like that.
And maybe the issue is the structure height has a minimum height. That's from Tom.
Yeah, that could be as well. I don't know if there's a minimum
Oh,
height. There's
Sean's
like
back. So we are answering Sean's question, and he is back.
Oh, good. So okay, so let me switch back over here, Sean, since you're back. So my thought was, I have a structure here, and if I adjust this pipe up, you'll notice that the rim now extends above where it was, and then if I adjust it back down, it doesn't come back down. Right? And because there's this cone height to it, and it's not that it is a cone, it's just that it has that value assigned to it. And a cone is a good example of it. Right? And so that's why I was over here in the pipe network, in the part builder, to look at these. So it was under calculations. No, it was under configurations.
And Sean is saying it's a catch basin with a flat top. Brian did bring it up when you were having computer issues, Sean. He was just saying it shouldn't matter what kind of part it is in the part builder. He's just using what he had as an example.
Right. And so there's the the barrel pipe clearance. Where did it go? It's over here
The
somewhere.
first one, first column, second column, actually.
Barrel pipe clearance, yeah. So there's this option for a barrel pipe clearance that might be causing it because I can't move my pipe up within a certain height of the top of the structure because there's that, it has to have that clearance. You know, you have a structure, if you have a catch basin, you have the grate, you have the concrete for that. You don't want the pipe coming in at that part of the structure. So that might be what the cause is. It's hard to tell without being able to see it, unfortunately.
And Tom also suggested checking the rim to sump range might have a minimum as well.
Right. So there's lots of different things that might be the cause. But again, without seeing it, it's difficult to diagnose. But those are some things that I would look at. And let me go ahead and close out a part builder before I break my keyboard. All right. Well,
and then
let's
to
talk
go
about
back to Thomas's point on the gatekeeper. Adam said that they make sure everyone has read-only access to that stuff, and they do it on ACC. And Joel says, yeah, they lock the pipe catalogs down, so there's only one gatekeeper.
So we treat our pipe catalogs the same as we do with any of our other support files in CAD, right? So if I go into File Explorer here, or Windows Explorer. Okay, I got a question for y'all. Is it File Explorer, or is it Windows Explorer, or do you call this something else?
So on my laptops, I can open up Windows Explorer, and it will actually open up File Explorer. And when you hold up to the bottom, they do have different icons. And I can actually have both open at the same time. And I don't know why the computer decides to sometimes say File Explorer and sometimes say Windows Explorer.
I will say File Explorer because for some reason, when I say Windows Explorer, people go to the internet immediately.
Yeah, I've done that as well.
Yeah, so that's why I use the word File Explorer, so that way it's like, no, I want to look for files. I don't want to look for anything on the internet. But I don't know what the actual terminology is. I just have had to adapt.
Yeah.
So it used to be File Explorer. They did call it Windows Explorer, I think, when Windows 10 came out. It might have been Windows 8. I don't remember. But like I said, they're both still in there, and you can actually run both commands, and they do work slightly different.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
So the way we have things set up here at GEI is we have this CAD support folder that's up on our network, and this is the master version of our CAD supports. This is where everything comes from. And then if I come under here to ENU, and then we have our catalogs in here. Right. And so when you launch CAD, it runs a little script. You can just use this as a BAT file if you want to do this yourself, that runs a robocopy that makes sure that the local version, so here under C CAD support, matches what's up on the network. And so we, by default, point our CAD to this common shared catalog location. Now, if I were to come in here and make a change, the next time I launch CAD, it's going to notice that the network version is different, and it's going to replace my local version with the network version. So it matches the network version exactly. So no matter what's done here, it gets overwritten every time you launch CAD again. So if you're in a specific project that needs a specific catalog, what you should be doing is creating a custom catalog for that particular project. We don't do a whole lot of pipe network here at GEI, so this really hasn't been much of an issue.
Yeah, because I mean, case in point, what we've got is we're finding that each project starts needing its own pipe catalog because there's specialty parts that go into it that need to be modified. That you don't necessarily want part of the primary. Or, and we definitely want to keep something just in case something goes bad and somebody modifies it improperly. So I didn't know if there was anything other than this. And yeah, I did just recently, because on ACC, you have to have access to ACC to get to that catalog. I'm still kind of shying away from that because that's another gatekeeper type of scenario. But yeah, kind of curious on how others run it.
So
Well,
a
Adam did
couple
say
of,
they're using ACC. They're just setting up everybody's permission to read only in that folder.
Yeah.
right. So the issue with having, the project specific catalog is where do you put it?
hmm Yeah, because then you got to remap as well. You got
Well, yeah, you would have to remap either way,
yeah.
but do you keep it local or do you put it up on the network drive with the project?
We're going to probably start putting it on per project, put it in that project location. And yeah, that's where ChatGPT is going to help me write the Lisp to change automatically based on the drawing that you have open. I've actually already got the Lisp written, but based on if you got a drawing open and you just type in PCP, it'll put you to the product pipe catalog for the project, and it'll read the directory you're in and repath directly to it. And if it's not there, it does just what you said, takes a robocopy from a location and drops it in to that project.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, but
So you guys are working off of ACC, right?
well, no, not just ACC. So this will work for ACC and other servers. I was hoping for a less intrusive method or whatnot, but just posing it out there because I know others got to come across the same issue that we're coming across.
Right. And my first thought is, well, if the pipe network is up on the network, or if the pipe catalog is up on the network, what happens if you're not connected to the network? Well, then you can't access the drawings either. So
Correct. Yeah, and yeah, that goes into the VPN or do you do it on a SharePoint site? Because then SharePoint is just based on your login to your computer, and then you'll have access to it via Teams or whatnot, and in that fashion. So yeah, we're just
yeah,
always on the lookout for how to streamline the efficiency without strangle holding on the data. Yeah, we are a hybrid workforce too, Tom. That's a great point. Yeah, and it works really great. That's why ACC works so well and ProjectWise works so well for us.
right. I would love to get everybody at GEI up on ACC, but the problem is we have so many just dabblers that I don't want to be buying licenses for everybody.
Oh yeah. Yep.
God. Tokens have worked out pretty well for us so far since we no longer have network licenses.
It's just like LDD. Oh my God, that's a 3-letter acronym I don't want to hear again.
Shut the hell up. Shut the hell up.
There's a reason why it only lasted 4 years, people. Or was it 6? It was 6, right? I can't remember. It's 2000 it started in.
LDD, it started in release 14, didn't it?
2000I. Or no, because back then it was called. I still got the disc. It's called Sofdesk back in in AutoCAD 14.
No, 13 was Sofdesk.
Oh, I'm getting old.
14 was the LDD.
Yeah, you're pushing 1996, my friend.
I was gonna say that was mid 90s then.
Yeah.
And 14 was, so I started in 98.
Oh.
We were using 14. That was LAN Desktop. And then I switched offices, switched companies, went back to 13 on Sofdesk.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not. Yeah.
All right, we got an actual question came up.
Let's go back to DCA, shall we?
Yeah.
We'll talk to Robert. Robert came up with a question. So I've been trying pressure pipe networks, losing all my hair because of it. So I have a lot of questions. Example, I have created a pipe run and I'm trying to add a pipe run from object, a P-line drawn pipe route bypass to from existing pipe. Creation of pipe works, but sometimes about 50-50, it will not connect or add branch fittings to the existing pipe. What's the proper procedure to add pipe run from object when connecting to an existing pipe run?
Okay. I'm not sure. Let's find out. All right, so let me go ahead and draw in a nice little pipe run here. Let's see, let's go 25 feet or so. That looks good. Something like that. And we'll go pipe network, create pressure network from object. I'll go with some 8-inch pipe. I'll erase the existing. So we got a nice pipe run here. Let me change my background color so we can actually see this blue stuff. Just go with white for now. There we go. No, I don't draft with white typically, but the blue on the white shows up pretty well. And so let's see, we want to draw a pipe run off of that. So if we go here and then we choose add new pipe run from object, select the object. It looks like it did not add a fitting there. But if we move that off and then add that back in, then it does throw the fitting in there. So that might just be the best way to do that. Let me go ahead and undo this here real quick. Get rid of that polyline. That polyline. Why are you not selecting the polyline? There we go. Nope, wrong thing. Okay. Let me do this again, just because all right. So.
Hey, Brian, what you could do
Yeah.
is you could erase the pipe and then move the polyline and then type in oops and it'll bring the pipe back. For those that remember the oops command.
That's true. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better.
I love the oops command.
Yeah, the long lost oops command.
Yeah, it looks like it's not automatically putting in that fitting, but if you grip edit the pipe and then grip edit it back onto the crossing pipe, it does put the fitting in. What if it's crossing? Probably should make this a little bit more perpendicular, huh?
I love you still, guys. A little bit closer to perpendicular. It does not actually perpendicular, just a little closer.
Yeah.
Well, you get what? Manufacturer deflection of 1.5 degrees in a fitting?
Yeah, or more. Depends upon which manufacturer you're going with.
Yeah.
So it doesn't automatically put the cross in there. But if we adjust it, yeah, it still doesn't put the cross in there.
You'd have to draw a pipe to each other. Can you mirror the one pipe and will it keep update the
Mirror the pipe?
yeah, so mirror the one and then that has the fitting to it that's teed off of it. And
Oh,
then-
you mean like mirror this one so it goes up
yeah,
there?
and then we'll switch that fitting to be a T or a cross instead of a T.
No, I can't imagine that would work. We can try though.
And
And,
then
Tom is saying, is it not giving you that because when you're drawing it, there's a different elevation?
he didn't assign an elevation, so it's
Yeah, they're all elevation 0. So yeah, the mirror doesn't seem to work.
Well, I meant mirror copy, like so you would, but I don't think it's going to either.
Oh.
I was curious.
No, it's not like
Yeah.
Revit. It would be
No, I
great.
was just curious.
No.
Because I was curious because Tom's comment of the elevation, there's an elevation difference, and then you mirrored it and like say, oh, I need to update that.
Yeah. Yeah, and so because there's no surface or anything, these are all at the same elevation. So the elevation is not what's causing it in this example. So if I do this again, create new pipe run from objects and erase. I'm gonna go take a look at these two. Lovely. There we go. You can see they're crossing perfectly there. So it's not an elevation issue. I think what we would need to do is add a fitting.
Well, even if you were to draw that pipe over the top of the pipe without, converting it to a pipe run or anything, it's still
Hey,
not
look at
going to recognize that thing,
There you
is
go.
it?
Voila. It's not too bad.
Tom's saying that Owen's suggestion worked.
Was
What was
ad
Owen's
fitting.
suggestion?
Ad fitting.
Ah,
Yeah, it's not as smart as I would like it to be. I mean, I'm kind of spoiled by Revit and its piping process,
oh yeah.
especially when you go up to that T and you want it to be across, you just hit the plus sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've made some improvements to pressure networks, but it's still clunky as hell.
Yeah, I'll agree.
I would love to see like an automatic lowering routine.
I think
Right.
you can do that through Project Explorer, right?
So you've got your pipe coming through here, and then let's say you've got a crossing
Oh, that pipe. Yeah,
here,
yeah, that would be awesome.
right? And it will automatically come in and put in your fittings and lower it for you. And then if either of those pipes changes, the lowering automates.
There's your AI.
That doesn't have to be AI. That's just programming. It's just, oh, here's the two pipes. They're within this certain distance. Let's just put in a lowering. This is something that should have been there when like pipes first came out, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert said the pipe runs and profiles are almost easy to make lowerings. Yeah, but they're not dynamic like so everything else in Civil 3D is. I want to be able to say, go into Civil 3D and say, put a lowering between these two pipes. This is the one to adjust.
Right, but
And then use these parameters.
yeah, but that requires each network to see each other's network, and right now they don't even have that in there.
Right, exactly. All right, so we've started complaining about Autodesk again. Ooh.
Quinn just threw a question in. How do you do your pipe crossing depth separation labels?
Uh, I give a dimension between the bottom of the pipe and then the top of the crossing pipe, and then the station and elevation of each of the bins.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, I had a crossing in here. I know this isn't a pressure network, but let's pretend it is. One thing you could do is wait until the end of the project and then add view labels of a depth. And then you could do something, like this and put in a depth label. Something like that might work, but that it definitely is not dynamic. I don't know of a dynamic way to put that information in.
Kyle says they just put out minimum clearance. We don't call it that. We just say minimum this.
There you go.
And Tom says there's a third-party app for labeling crossing separations.
Yeah.
I mean, because the moment here's the thing. Out in the field, if it's an existing pipe, you really don't know the exact depth that your pipe, the bottom portion of your pipe is. I know they pothole around, but until they dig completely around, they're not going to be able to see the other side of the pipe or what's going on below it. So a lot of the times I don't like to give that level of accuracy in our profile views for obvious reasons of being sued, or the contractor coming back and saying, well, you said it was 0.14 instead of now it's 0.38. So,
right.
Yeah, giving the contractor or putting in the statements of, maintain a minimum 1.5 foot depth separation.
Yeah, but then you also have your design stuff as well.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So that definitely would apply to, existing conditions where your design is crossing an existing utility.
Good point. Good point.
But if you've got a proposed water line crossing a proposed storm sewer or proposed sanitary sewer,
yeah, you better.
Right. Then you can put in those values, a lot more specifically for sure.
I'll be more confident in it.
Right. Assuming they built the other utility correctly. Not that they would ever not do that. Yeah. So I think the theme for today has really been there's a third-party app for that.
Which I gotta say, I'm with my experience with third-party apps and how it's from a managerial standpoint and keeping that up to date and making sure it's interlaced with all of our programming and the licensing that has to go through with the IT, some for a larger corporation, it's that in itself is its own challenge.
Oh, for sure.
Well, then not only that, how quick do they update it for the new release? So when a new release comes out, are they holding you back for another year because they don't have that done and you now are reliant upon it?
Right.
Yep.
And for those of you who did not know, there was a hot fix issued since last month. So obviously they found a security vulnerability for 23, 24, and 25. Although I did not see one for 26. And then that,
So
you were
go check
basically
the
at the
update.
bottom of the hour.
Awesome. Well, I guess network licensing for the pipe network tools. That's nice. Hey, Tom, is that through Red Transit as well? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's nice that they've got network licensing. So, well, I guess we'll go ahead and call it a day. I wish everybody to have a wonderful 4th of July holiday if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, have a wonderful weekend or week or whatever it is you may be celebrating this week. I hope everybody comes back next week with the same number of fingers that you left with this week. So be safe out there, but also have a lot of fun, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
So.